Thanks for joining me again this week for Rick Answers His Email. First up is from Walt, who paid to be first this week, and his question is about Gmail backup. It's something that I recommended he try to use last week. Here it is, Gmail backup from gmail-backup.com. He wanted to back up his Gmail, but now he has some other questions on the usage of Gmail backup, and unfortunately, Walt, I've never used it. I trust Google, that for better or for worse, I trust it, and I just leave all my email up there. They have so much redundancy up there, it's not even funny. If there's things that are really, really important, you can copy and paste them into Word and save them that way. But as far as using the Gmail backup system, use the forums and use the frequently asked questions on their site to get more of the answers. Good luck. Next question is from Ed. Black screen, no desktop, not enough information. Find a computer person to help you. Ryan has an 8 gigabyte drive he tried the Google Chrome on, and some of the Ubuntu and Linux versions you can run from a USB disk will do this to your drive. And the best thing you can do is get a Linux installation. This is the only way I've been able to figure this out, is go into Linux, whatever version you can find, and use the program called gparted. And in gparted, you can go through and erase the partitions, expand the space in a partition, and format and start over so you can recapture the entire drive again. Good luck. Les has a good question about file sharing sites. And yes, a lot of file sharing sites where people download music. And again, free music, not the iTunes, not Real Player, not Napster, places like that. Those are all legitimate places where you pay. Amazon is another good example, where you pay and you're going to get a legitimate product. But when you download music, when people are just sharing it with each other, you're never quite sure who you're sharing it with and where you're getting it. And so there could be some infections, and oftentimes there's secondary infections that happen because of that. So the general rule of thumb is if you're not paying for it and it's not a major website, then it's not a safe site. If you are paying one of those club fees where they give you pay $59 a year or $99 a year for unlimited access to music, that is also a whole hill of beans. So avoid those types of things. Use just the sites that I talked about a minute ago, Amazon, iTunes, the Real Player folks, I forget what they call theirs, Rhapsody, I guess is what it's called. I forgot one there. Napster, did I say Napster? One of those kinds. The rule of thumb on the internet, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Ezo has a couple of questions, only one which I think I can address, Ezo, is about the taskbar. I'm going to show you the taskbar here in Windows 7. Here's my taskbar in Windows 7. Well, it looks like they fixed what I wanted to try to show you with Windows XP. If you take your mouse on the very edge of your taskbar here and drag upwards, or if it's at the bottom of your screen, you're going to drag downwards. In Windows XP, you can make it just a little line. And I think that's what you're probably experiencing with XP, because you can't ever get rid of the taskbar. But I think what it is just probably a little thin line on the edge of your screen. And if you move your mouse carefully real close to that edge, you're going to get the double arrows. You can then click and drag the taskbar back to a size that you want it. And then after you do that, right-click on the taskbar and then lock the taskbar so that it doesn't happen again. In regards to your second question about your VPN connection, if you're having problems with passwords and IDs, you are going to have to check with the folks who you are trying to connect to and make sure all your credentials are correct, and also make sure you're not using caps lock or something like that on your keyboard. Genesee or Janice, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. There's a couple of things you can do. Go to my website first, helpmerick.com. Slide over to the right-hand side of the page and find links right here. Click the links, and that's going to bring you up what I call my links and resources section. And you're going to scroll down to the security area, and I have a couple of tools in here I want you to try. Number one is the combo fix removal tool. That's going to take you to bleepingcomputer.com, read the instructions, follow the instructions, and use that tool. Also, I want you to download, install, and update and run scans with Malwarebytes and Super Anti-Spyware, and see if you can get yourself back up and running. Richard, you didn't mention if you try to do the system restore, and that's the first thing I would try to do with any kind of little weird problems like this with any version of Windows, is go to Start, Programs, and Accessories, and then go into System Tools, and under System Tools, click System Restore, and restore your computer back to an earlier time. I'm assuming that your control panel used to work fine. If you can think back to when it actually did work, something between then and now, either an update from Windows or some kind of a virus infection. Different things could have caused the problem. Try to reset your computer back to that time and see if your problem doesn't disappear. The other thing you can do is do like we just did a minute ago with Genesee and run some scans from the tools that I had recommended for spyware and antivirus. Good luck. Joe, you have all the tools at your fingertips already. The Robo program has a utility in it that help you generate passwords, then good passwords. You can also go to my website, helpmerick.com, search for passwords, and have a few other programs you can try as well, and they have password generation utilities. And lastly, out there's a program called goodpassword.com, and you can use its tools, show it to you here, to tell you how many characters you want it. Maybe if you want only an 8-character password and you want it to include numerals, upper and lower case, and maybe even some other symbols, then click Generate the Password, and it gives you a password that you can write down, copy and paste, and then use. Phyllis, I do like online backup as a good secondary backup. You never know how long these places are going to be in business, so I wouldn't trust it as your only backup. But I do use Mozy myself. I like Mozy over Carbonite because I think it uses a few less resources and doesn't slow your computer down quite as much as Carbonite. So I've had real good luck with it. And folks that have needed to use their support tell me the support at Mozy is very good as well. Robert, I haven't done a lot of cloning of hard drives, but there is one program out there that is free and gets a lot of good feedback, and it's called Clonezilla. And if you just go to clonezilla.org, they've got all the information there on how to use it, where to download it, and also some support area there as well. So good luck. Diana, in this case, the first thing I would try is to use one of the CCleaner type programs, or the computer cleaner. CCleaner I have on my website under links, or the cleanup tool, which will clean out a lot of temporary files, also clean out cookies and other things on your computer. And the only thing I can think, if everything else is working normally on your computer, is run that cleanup program. You may want to do another virus scan just to make sure. Reboot your computer. Try again. Dave, I'm usually partial to not doing internet security suites because I think once a company starts trying to add too many things to their product, it gets too big and kind of slows your computer down. I would say if you've had good luck with what you've been doing, stick with it. Randall, there is no email program included with Microsoft Windows 7. So if you want to get a Send To option, you're going to have to install something like Mozilla Thunderbird. And then once you install Mozilla Thunderbird, I can then right-click on an item, and then I can click Send To Mail Recipient, and then you'll be up and running. Jack, you're not giving me enough information about the error messages you're getting. With a netbook, your best bet for retrieving your email is using your service's web-based email. And as long as you have your username and password, you shouldn't have any problems. Eve, I have some bad news for you about your password keychain program. The company that made that, called NFX, is no longer in business. And they haven't updated that particular program, as far as I can see, since 2002. So there are some of these older programs that are not going to work with Windows 7. You can search for how to use the compatibility mode in Windows 7, which doesn't work very well, but in some cases it might work. Hopefully it works for you, but more than likely you're going to have to switch password managers. Good luck. That's all we have this week for Rick Answers His Email. We'll be back again next week with more of your questions and my answers. Thanks.